Hello, welcoming all my dear class 8 students to our English class once again. We have been doing a lot of topics and today we are going with a poetry that is The Last Bargain written by Rabindranath Tagore. I repeat, The Last Bargain written by Rabindranath Tagore. You will find that in page number 73 to page number 74. Page number 73 to 74. Let us discuss the topic of a poem here. Okay, bargain is a word that you have been hearing a lot of times. When you go to the shop, you know what is bargaining. You try to bring down the price of an object that you want to buy, and you will have to discuss with the shopkeeper about it, right? And finally, when both of you agreed, then only you can buy. You cannot just forcefully take away something that does not belong to you, and when the shopkeeper did not agree to give you at a lower price. That is also a kind of bargain. And bargain in other sense can be when both the parties, it may not necessarily be something that you buy from the shop, but when both of you tries to come to a term, that is also a bargain. Okay, if you want to exchange a product with your friend, you have to bargain, you have to promise each other that you will surely do it, then only you can take your product that is going to be given by your friend. That is called bargain. And here we are going to discuss about the last bargain. That means the last that our poet is going to accept, or let us consider our main character here, the narrator. Even though Rabindranath Tagore wrote the poem, he did not present himself as the narrator here. He presented an old man who was looking for a job as the main character, which we'll discuss a little later. And many of you have heard, not many, most of you have heard of Rabindranath Tagore. And if in case you are forgetting him, I'm going to remind you that he was the writer, he was the poet who composed our national anthem, Jana Gana Mana, right? We all know that, we have heard about him, we read about him in so many books. But one more thing that we have to know is, he was not just a writer, he was not just a poet, but he was also a painter. You can imagine that. He was a very talented person, and he was also well known because he was a very patriotic citizen of India. He was originally from Kolkata, and then during the freedom movement, he also contributed his share. And people say that art forms were modernized even through the help of the poet Rabindranath Tagore. And in this poem, we are going to discuss about how a man makes a bargain with different type of people, but he did not come into terms with it, or he did not like it, and that was the reason why we call it the last bargain, because only at the last moment or at the last bargain that he was able to get something that he wanted to have and something that he wished to have. In many of Rabindranath Tagore, you will find that he expresses about the importance of freedom. Here, freedom does not necessarily mean the freedom from a foreign land or a foreign oppression. He did not just talk about the freedom struggle of India, but he talked about freedom in the individual sense too. And even in this poem, you are going to find some things like that, okay? You have to keep listening to this carefully so you will also know the value of freedom, because sometimes we interchange freedom with some other things. We think that freedom means doing anything that you want. That is also a part of freedom, but that does not solely or fully applies to freedom here. Freedom can also mean you enjoying in your own way, at the same time not disturbing the people around you. Okay, you have to keep in mind, sometimes we take our freedom as something that we can do anything as we wish, as long as we can enjoy our lives, not thinking about what the next person will be feeling for our actions. And this poem, we have been discussing about the type of poems too. This poem is just a free verse, we call it, okay, or a blank verse. Let's take it blank verse, because when you look at the poem, the rhyming scheme does not follow a regular pattern, and there is also something called the blank verse, and this poem comes under the blank verse. It is also a type of poetry, which you will get to know once you reach your higher classes. You will study the types of poetry in a very detailed manner, and so you have to keep in mind the different types of poetry too. Okay, I want all of you to get hold of your book, because with that we are going to read the first paragraph together, the first verse together. You will get an idea of what the poem is going to be like. Okay, now ready? Let's turn to page number 73. Page number 73. If you are ready, I'm going to read out the first verse for all of us, and you can follow me even as you listen along. The last bargain. "Come and hire me," I cried, while in the morning I was walking on the stone-paved road. Sword in hand, the king came in his chariot. He held my hand and said, "I will hire you with my power." But his power counted for naught, and he went away in his chariot. This is how the poet has written the first verse of a poem here. We will get to know what it means now, okay? We see that a man was looking for a job. You know, in our daily lives, we all need job. We all need a work to survive. Whether you want to work or not, you still need to work if you want to survive in order to attain your daily basic needs. It may be in terms of food, your clothing, or whatever you needed at home. It all comes because someone in your home is working. For your case, it will be your brothers, your sisters, or your parents who had been working hard enough to feed you, to take care of you, to pay for your schooling. All this comes because they have a job, and in this, I would also want you to know that you have to do your part. You have to start working hard if you want to start earning for yourself after some years. This is what it is very important. The poet also stresses on the importance of work here. In the meantime, he wants to convey a double meaning too. He says that there was a man looking for a job, and he might have been walking around, and then he met a king. Okay, you know who is a king, right? The king is considered to be the most powerful, though we do not see much of kings in the present day. We have been reading stories about them, we have heard and we have watched movies about the kings, and when you watch them, we cannot imagine their power that they exercise. Okay, so the king came, which in the first paragraph, we will see the king, which also signifies power. The king wanted to hire the man and said he will give power if this man is willing to work for him. But for the character here, for our narrator here, he did not find power to be interesting as long as he do not have his freedom. I repeat, he did not want to have power as long as he does not attain freedom. Freedom can mean freedom from anything. As I've mentioned, I am not talking about the freedom of the country alone. It is the freedom of the mind that one needs to grow. We all need our freedom. If you are always living under the pressure of somebody, forcing you to do something that you do not like, or always asking you to do what is too difficult for you, you may not like that. Right? So even the man here, our narrator, did not want to work for the king, because the king came in such a way that he feels that he can do anything because he had the power in him, and that is what he is not expecting, and that is what he was not looking for. Even if the man did not have any job, in the first line you will see the stone path. That also signifies that life is not easy. Okay, life is not easy. Even as you continue to grow, I am telling all of you and advising all of you to realize that life will not be as smooth as you imagined or as smooth as you want, but it is how you struggle, or it is how hard you work, and to have a positive attitude in everything that you see, then only you can find peace in the things, even in the difficult things that you do. And the man did not give himself to power, even in spite of the difficulties that he faces in his life. When you are in a difficult situation, what do? Even if you don't want, out of compulsion, you give yourself into the things that you do not want. For your case, for a class 8 boy or a class 8 girl, you can imagine if you have gone to school without your lunch, without your tiffin for a day, and the school continues till 4 p.m. Let's take it. So I'm sure you will feel hungry. So even if you do not like a particular friend or a particular classmate, if he is willing to give you the lunch that he brought, I'm sure you will give in to that, whether you like it or not. But our narrator here did not give in such a thing. Though he was in desperate need for work, in a desperate need for job, he did not submit himself to power, because he knew very well in his mind that power will not be able to give him the freedom, even if he gets it. That is the reason why he walked away from this king who was willing to offer him, to hire him, okay? That means to take him and also pay him for what he does for the king. And in the second paragraph, I'm not going to be reading this. I would like you to get into your book. We will see that an old man came, and the old man was willing to give him gold coins, okay? Gold coins also signifies wealth. The old man said that he would hire him and give him gold coins. If you work for somebody, what do you get? You always get something in return, right? I'm not talking about your parents here, because you may think that since you help your parents sometimes, they also need to pay you. Please don't take it that way, okay? Your parents have been providing everything for you. Instead, you should be the one paying them, if we were to really go in that sense. But here, when you go and work in somebody's house or somebody's field or do anything for them, you feel that you always need to get something, and that is not wrong. It's always right to ask for what we deserve. And here, the rich man was willing to hire him with the gold coins if he is willing to submit himself. But he also rejected again, even this time. See, he wants a job. It will be difficult for some of you to comprehend, for some of you to understand. Because if he was looking for a job, why he did not receive the job given by the king and also given by the rich man? It is because he knows the value of his freedom, that he deserves freedom even if he works. And he knew very well that once he get the wealth from the old man, he will be like a slave to the old man or to wealth. So even in our lives, there will come a time when you would want to have money where you cannot do anything you like, okay? You have to be working under the dictatorship of somebody or under the instruction of somebody every time. And he is telling us that it is very important for us to follow our dreams and not to chase after power and after wealth. In the second paragraph, gold coins signifies wealth, and we have learned that he rejected even this. Though he was looking for a job to earn his living, he did not accept this too. It would be very difficult for many of us to understand, right? But he knows exactly what he was doing and what he wanted to do, and that is the reason why he rejected. And the next one, you will see that a fair maid came out of the hedges. So he presents a beautiful scenery here. He presents a beautiful place where a young lady came out smiling, and she said that she would hire the man and give her the smile and give him the smile, okay? The smile also signifies beauty, and the writer here, the narrator, also rejected this offer again. He could be happy, and now this young lady was not offering him money or power. If we are going to consider, we might be thinking that he would accept the offer this time. But even this time, he did not offer it because he knew that beauty cannot buy happiness for one's life. And he knew that it is freedom that will give happiness to somebody. That was the reason why he even rejected the beautiful lady. He might have liked the lady, or he might have liked the places where she was, but the poem also says that in the last two lines you will see that the beauty paled down and the tears melted down, right? That means beauty will not last forever. It will be just for a short time. Beauty is short-lived. The narrator knew this very well, and that was the reason why he did not allow himself to be hired by beauty. This young lady may be beautiful for some years, but this will not continue. And it does not necessarily mean that the young girl was calling him, but it also signifies happiness. for life. Okay, the happiness does not come from the smile of somebody alone. It comes from the freedom that is inside. And in the last verse, you will see that he went and saw a child playing by the seashore, and he found out that the little child was just playing with some shells. You know what is shell, right? We know what are snails, so snails come out from the shell. And so the little boy was just playing with some shells on the seashore near the water, and the little boy said, "Come, I will hire you for nothing." It is something that we don't expect, right? He was looking for a job, he was looking for a work, but this little child said that he would hire the man, the narrator, and that was with nothing. Why should I work for somebody with nothing? But here it also shows the innocence of the child and the happiness and the freedom that this child have. Okay, and so he gave himself to this young child and say that he will be willing to submit himself, because in the form of this little child, the poet has presented to us the freedom. If he works with a child, he knew that he would have his freedom. The young child would not control him. The young child will not torture him, and he can do whatever is good for himself. In the meantime, he will also get his freedom. That was the reason why he accepted the offer of the child for nothing. He was looking for something and he got nothing. But in this nothingness, he knew that there was freedom here. And that is the reason why we consider the title of the poem as the last bargain, because by refusing all these things, the last bargain made by the little child meant so much to him. Because even if he will not be rewarded anything, he knew that his freedom would be given in the form of this little child, which is what he was looking for. He did not look at the world in the materialistic view. Many of us think that once we attain power, everything will be so comfortable for us, but one day we will be overpowered by our own power again. And in the second paragraph, we also saw that wealth is important, and many people are tempted into doing things which are wrong just because they want to attain wealth. And finally, they become slaves to their own wealth. Okay, that is the reason why the poet stresses the importance on freedom and not wealth. And the third one comes the beauty. Beauty is something that we all want. If I ask you, you will surely say that you will want to look beautiful and handsome, or you will surely tell me that you like things which are beautiful. But I want to remind all of you once again that beauty will not last forever. It will pale, that means it will fade after some years. And that cannot give us the happiness and the freedom that we want. That is the reason why the poet also presents the narrator, that is the man who was looking for a job, presents the narrator rejecting even beauty, because we cannot attain happiness just from the beauty of something or someone. But in the last verse, we see that the poet was willing to give himself to be hired by this young child. Though he knew that the young child cannot give him wealth or money, he knew very well that he will find his freedom in his life by being hired by the young child who was innocent, and with him he will have the freedom without anyone controlling his life, or without any forces controlling his life. This is what our poem is about, written by Rabindranath Tagore. I want all of you to go through your books once again. And also I want you to understand this poetry in its right concept. When I say the poet wanted freedom, you cannot just try to live your own life, because as a teenager, I know you have a lot of thoughts in your mind that your parents are controlling you so much. These are the things that always comes to the mind of a teenager. I'm repeating, it will always come to you. You will feel that your parents are controlling you too much, though you are not a kid. That will come to you. But here the poet is not talking about that type of control. Those type of control is good for you. Your parents are doing it because they knew that by controlling you, you will one day become a good citizen for the nation and as well as for the world. And here freedom means not to be controlled by the evil forces around us that we see in our daily life. Okay, and I want you to try to sort out the questions that are given at the back of the page, that is in page number 74, and we will see you next class. Thank you so much.